Heating your home can be expensive, and not just because of the money. It also takes up a lot of your time and energy. So we're gonna look at some of the well-known and hidden costs of heating. And by the end, we're gonna share a solution to this home heating problem that you might not even have known about. Let's go. My buddy Paul has a problem. And it's a problem many of you may have also. Paul is a regular customer here at K&J, and he was looking for ways to supplement the high cost of heating his home in the winter. He usually uses firewood along with gas to heat his home in the winter, and he told me about some of the ways he went about trying to save money. And being the cheapskate that I am, I gotta admit, I admired some of the methods he talked about. But which one of those will save him the most money and time? Let's take a look at some of the possible solutions to his dilemma. Paul told me he's got a 1,000 gallon tank. And at the time of talking with him about it, he was telling me he was paying about $2.60 per gallon of LP or propane, leaving him with about 10% left over at the end of the year. So that's about $2,700 a year to heat his home. He also supplements his gas with burning firewood over the winter to keep the costs down, but that can also be expensive. Let's go back to the whiteboard. We took some time looking at the value triangle. Good, cheap, and fast. Usually things that are good and cheap come at the cost of taking forever to get to you. And some things that are cheap and fast will almost always turn out to be garbage quality. For example, you know that the mail delivery system can be cheap sometimes. You know it's guaranteed to get to you for the most part, but sometimes it actually takes forever. Fast food is fast, it's never good for you, and sometimes it can cost just as much as a home-cooked meal. Boop. A lot of those times you can only get one or two if you're lucky. But how do you get two of these things right? How did Paul get all three of those values? Well, I'm gonna tell you. Let's take a look at the options that Paul had tried and see if they're a viable option for you. Looking up firewood on Facebook Marketplace can be a golden opportunity, if you're lucky. It seems like anyone with a cell phone can make a listing, but it seems like it might be more time consuming to find the best options. If they respond to your messages, you have to trust their word that the firewood that you're buying at a premium price is dry. If what you're building requires the wood to be dry, then a moisture meter is your best friend. It seems like I've been mentioning this in every video recently, but it's true. Moisture meters pay for themselves in the long run. I'm gonna link some moisture meters in the description below so you can look at some of them that are of high quality and some of them that are inexpensive for just this sort of situation. And keep in mind, those are affiliate links, so we do earn a small commission if you end up deciding to buy some. And thank you if you do purchase something, it helps us out greatly. Either way, we love you. So how can you know that the quality of the firewood that you're using is in tip-top condition? You go and cut it yourself. But we know how that goes. First, you need to find some trees that you're allowed to take down. Maybe you get lucky and you got a brother-in-law that needs some trees taken down anyways, but then you're putting a lot more time and effort on this than you wanted. And that's not really my brother-in-law, that's Kendall. He's not my brother-in-law. You may have gotten the trees for free, but you gotta put in a lot of hard physical work. And it's right about then you remember you gotta figure out how to transport all that wood back home. You don't need a cost breakdown for that. It basically comes down to one simple outcome. None of those things are gonna work. Your back is so sore that even the Facebook Messenger app on your phone is tired. Half of them don't respond to your messages when you ask them about their firewood, and the other half seem like it's too good to be true. That's because it usually is. Even your brother-in-law only has so many trees he needs taken down. So you and Paul need a long-term solution with minimal effort, and I think I may have it for you. Let's hit the brakes and take a look at the options we do have and apply them to the value triangle so we can break them down by cost and find the best solution. We remember that our good old buddy Paul told us he spends around $2,700 in fuel each year, with 10% left over at the end of the year heating his home with LP. Now, let's look at the firewood situation that he uses to supplement the cost of gas. We figured that in our area, it would cost about $250 to $400 for a cord of firewood that's split and dry. Conservatively, we say that's about $325 per cord, and he says he would go through about 4 cords per year. That's about $1,300 per year. And we haven't even thought about delivery fees yet. That's nowhere near the $2,700 he spends on gas, but it's still a significant amount. But what if you can get the same amount of firewood with a little bit of effort at a fraction of the cost? When Paul sat down with me and did the math, weighing the value triangle in his head and on paper, I could see the light bulb go off in his head. He realized that Slabwood was the answer to all of his problems. Come here, I'll show you. He could buy bundles of hardwood slabwood from us for $75 each. At about 2/3 to 3/4 of a cord of wood in each bundle, he could get the entire 4 cords of wood he needed for the entire year for only $450. And with a little bit of work, he can get all the firewood he needed for the year at 35% of the cost of chopped and split firewood. If you have a trailer, you can get all the firewood you need in 1, maybe 2 trips, depending on the size of your trailer. Now, we have another issue, because most people think slab wood is boiler wood, which isn't necessarily true. Let me explain. Remember when I said it would take a little bit of effort? Well, I wasn't lying, but it's not as bad as you think it is. The slab wood bundles that we sell to the public, the ones that Paul buys, are generally 10 to 12 feet long. They're essentially the outer edges of the logs when we square them up with our sawmill. They definitely aren't ready for your fireplace though. They need a little bit of preparation before you can do that. I explain how these slab wood bundles are made and even delivered, along with the entire process of preparing these bundles so they're ready for your home fireplace in this video right here. Believe me, it's super simple, and I bet it might spark some fires in your brain. Let's go, brother and sister. And it's right about then you gotta remember that you gotta remember. You gotta remember something, dude.